Good evening and welcome to Holiday Showdown. As usual, we've sent a guest celebrity to two contrasting locations and asked them to report back to us here in the studio. Our guest this week is the world-renowned elephant whisperer, Gerald McGerald. Good evening, Gerald.
Good evening, Marjorie.
Can you remind us, Gerald, where we sent you for your first excursion?
I went to hell, Marjorie, and I must say it was quite an experience.
I expect it was. Now, hell's not particularly well known as a holiday destination, is it?
Well, that's exactly what I thought when I was given this assignment. My first reaction was, who'd ever want a holiday in hell? But in fact, I was very surprised at the number of people who were there. The place was packed.
Really? And what is it about hell, do you think, that appeals to people?
Well, I think the main thing is the weather. The heat there was phenomenal throughout my stay. I don't think the temperature ever dropped below 6,000 degrees C.
Wow, so sunblock's a must then?
Oh, definitely.
And what was the scenery like?
Well, to be honest, I felt a bit disappointed by the lack of variety. All there was really was an enormous lake of fire stretching as far as I could see. Don't get me wrong, the lake was an incredible sight, but I think the people of hell would do well to try and vary the landscape a little.
Are you allowed to swim in the lake of fire?
You're not just allowed to swim, you're actively encouraged to get in. In fact, I have to say the stewards did seem a little heavy-handed about that.
In what way?
Well, I know they're eager for people to join in with the activities, but having my heart ripped out and being thrown naked and screaming into a lake of eternal fire seemed to me to be a little overbearing when I was still trying to find my feet.
Yes, I see what you mean. So what's your overall opinion of hell then?
Well, it's certainly not for the faint-hearted. An eternity of unimaginable pain and horror can take its toll if you're not used to that sort of thing. On the other hand, if the unending sounds of wailing and gnashing of teeth and the exhilarating sensation of unquenchable flames searing your very soul is your cup of tea, then hell might just be the place for you.
And what would a week in hell cost, Gerald?
Well, that's the real plus point about hell, Marjorie. It doesn't cost you anything, really. All they ask is that you keep living your life your own sweet way and don't think too hard about where you're going. I should point out, however, that there's no such thing as a week in hell. The management do require that you stay there forever once you arrive, so you should bear that in mind when considering a stay there.
Well, that's certainly food for thought. Now, let's move on to your next very different destination.
Well, Marjorie, after a week in hell, I felt like I needed a holiday to get over it, so I was very pleased to hear that I was going to be spending my next week in heaven.
Well, that certainly sounds like a contrast. Now, heaven sounds to many people like the perfect place to visit, but did the reality match up to the image?
I'm pleased to say it did. What often happens with holidays is that the photographs make it look fantastic, but when you get there it looks nothing like what you saw in the brochure. But heaven was everything it's cracked up to be and more.
What was the weather like?
The weather was perfect. Never too hot, never too cold, and the scenery was incredible. Try to imagine what Earth might have looked like before man messed it up and then multiply it by a zillion.
Wow, it really sounds great. And did the accommodation match the surroundings?
Absolutely. I was expecting something nice, but nothing like what I was given. Everyone who goes gets an incredible mansion to live in, filled with treasures beyond anything I've seen here on Earth.
So what did you enjoy the most about heaven?
It had to be the New Jerusalem, Marjorie. It was amazing. The roads were made of gold so pure it was transparent. The main street was lined with trees that bore fruit every month, and the most amazing thing was that there wasn't any sun.
Well, that doesn't sound very promising.
We didn't need a sun. The light and heat came directly from God himself.
Well, that does sound appealing, Gerald, but I'm guessing the price will be way out of most people's range.
Well, unlike hell, there is a price to pay to get into heaven, but anyone can pay it, if they choose to. Citizens are required to give their whole life over to the proprietor, forsaking everything to follow him.
That's quite a cost, don't you think?
Well, yes it is, but I think it's worth it, and you do get to stay there forever. I should point out as well that you must book your place in advance. You won't be allowed in unless your name is in the book. They're very strict about that.
Definitely something to bear in mind there. Well, thanks for that, Gerald. And there you are, folks. We've given you the lowdown on two very contrasting destinations. I know where I'd rather go, but in the end, it's up to you to choose for yourself. Join us again next time for another edition of Holiday Showdown.